All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. Back again. Um, I stayed away from this topic for a while because I kind of felt like all of us as boxing fans have kind of gotten caught up in the bullshit with this whole Wilder Joshua thing. I think we're being played. I think we're being manipulated, sort of like we were being played, manipulated with the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao situation. I have no doubt in my mind, and I'm very confident in my own opinion that this fight between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua definitely happens next year. And all this bullshit back and forth about who's ducking who, you know, who's afraid of who, whatever the case may be, I think it's all posturing because, as I've said several times, at the end of the day, it's always about the money. It's always about the business. Okay. And at the end of the day, as I said, this fight does good business and it's the biggest fight in the heavyweight division. And arguably, when it happens, could be the biggest fight in boxing. Maybe more so than a Canelo Golovkin rematch or third fight would be. But the thing that continues to frustrate me and aggravate me is the definition of insanity is when you continue to do something over and over again, knowing what the result will be and knowing that the result has not always been favorable to you. So if you continue to do something that has not worked in the past and you do it over and over again, to me that's basically the definition of insanity, right? Because you're doing the same thing and you're getting the same result as you got before that you weren't happy with. And what happens? You continue to do it over and over again. So is that insanity or is it stubbornness or is it just plain out stupidity? You have to ask yourself that. So Eddie Hearn has basically admitted himself that a lot of things he has done in the past in regards to making this fight with Wilder have not been always the right thing to do. Has not always been the optimum thing to do in order to make this fight. So he admits that he has created, gaps. He has not really built bridges, but built walls early on during the negotiations of this fight. But what does he continue to do over and over again? He says that he made mistakes by doing this in the past, but he continues to do it now. He continues to criticize and just spread out and out lies about Deontay Wilder in an attempt to diminish Deontay Wilder, trying to use the old equation that you can subtract from others to add to yourself, and in this case, subtract from Wilder to add to Joshua. But does that really need to be done here? And if you are going to criticize somebody, you have to tell the truth. You have to be honest about it. You have to at least say factual things. And you can't just, say things based upon your opinion and pass them off as facts to the fans. And again, I'm not here to debate who's more popular, who's the bigger draw, and this and that. History has shown us over the years that Anthony Joshua generates more revenue than Deontay Wilder. I'm not here to dispute that. I'm not. Um, does this fight deserve to be a 50-50 split? If you asked me that the same time last year, I would say probably not. But now I've changed my mind. I think this fight warrants a 50-50 split based upon how much more popular and how much more Deontay Wilder has increased his profile. The amount of ground Deontay Wilder has made up from this time last year to where he is now is incredible. And with all due respect to Joshua, as big as he is, and in my opinion, he's the second biggest star in the sport behind Canelo, he's pretty much plateaued. He's pretty much stayed where he was at. Whereas Deontay Wilder has increased his profile, and everywhere either one of these men go, the question is asked, to Anthony Joshua, when are you going to fight Deontay Wilder? And the question is asked to Deontay Wilder, when are you going to fight Anthony Joshua? So that in itself tells you that, the sum is greater than its parts here. So when people talk about this fight, it's not about the parts, it's about the sum. It's about the totality of both men together. And I've hammered this home time and time again. It's not about what Wilder did against this guy. It's not about what Joshua did against that guy. Because the proof is in the pudding. I'm not here to debate the facts that Joshua's numbers are better than Wilder's. I'm not here to debate that. But also, it's undebatable and irrefutable that if you put both of these guys together, no other fight in the heavyweight division generates what this fight would generate, would not gather the amount of attention that this fight would get over any other fight in the division. And because of that, you have to credit both men, not just one man. So again, it's not about the parts, it's about the sum. Okay? So that's how you would break down the equation of both of these men. Okay, it's not about individuality, it's about totality. When you put these two guys together, as I said before, it's just a magical fight. Just like when you talk about Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya, Oscar De La Hoya did 1.4 pay-per-view buys without Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather, I think, did 350,000 pay-per-view buys without Oscar De La Hoya. But you put both of those two guys together, and what happens? They did almost 2.5 million together. So if you looked at the empirical data and you looked at what those guys had did in the past, nothing would suggest that they would generate that much pay-per-view buys. Nothing would suggest that these two guys would break the pay-per-view record. And it held up pretty strong for a long, long time. It took, that fight was in 2007. It took about 8 years for that record to get broken by Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. So again, it's not about the parts, it's about the sum. Okay? That's how I look at this fight. But let's get to some of these statements by Eddie Hearn and the propaganda and the bullshit lies basically of Eddie Hearn. So he's going around telling everybody, and I don't even know why he has to even say this stuff. I mean, I don't see the benefit in even saying this stuff, because again, you're trying to fight the guy. So in order to make the event bigger with Wilder, I think it would behoove you to try to build up Wilder instead of try to tear him down. Because again, the bigger Wilder is, and the more shine you give Wilder, the bigger the fight is as a whole. So to try to diminish one side, it only hurts the event and it only hurts the promotion, in my opinion. So why continue to do that? Okay, so he's sitting there saying and telling everybody, oh, the fight with Brazil had only sold 6,000 tickets, when the total announced gate, or ticket sales, I should say, was 13,181. Okay, so for a boxing event, Barclays holds 16,000 people. So they did fall well short of a sellout, without question. And it was 2,819,000 empty seats. Those are the facts. It's irrefutable. Is that good? It's not great. Is it horrible? It's not horrible. Just okay. It's decent. It wasn't a sellout. It wasn't a sellout. So again, it's not the greatest numbers that could have, it's not the greatest numbers. It's not the best case scenario that could have happened for that fight. I understand that. But to sit there and suggest that only 6,000 tickets out of the 13,181 people seated in that arena, only 6,000 of those people were paying customers, that is utterly ludicrous. Okay? And then he also was trying to say that only 8,000 people were there, when it's common knowledge that was put out there and reported to the commission that 13,181 people were there. So why would you go out of your way to just lie about the facts? You're just lying about the facts. I'm not saying that there weren't comp tickets there. But again, you don't think there's going to be comp tickets? You don't think Anthony Joshua's family is going to get in for free? You don't think members of the press, obviously, we know they're going to get in for free next week? You don't. How many tickets out of the 20,789 at the Madison Square Garden for Anthony Joshua's fight are going to be comped? We could at least speculate that anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 people are going to get comped next week, which is common. But this is what I don't understand. We only talk about people getting comped at events only when we talk about PBC events. We never hear this about any other event. For some reason, reporters and promoters and people who are critics of the PBC go out of their way to tell us how many people were comped. And how in the hell would they know? Who's going to sit there and tell a reporter out of the blue, or tell Eddie Hearn? How would Eddie Hearn know? How would Eddie Hearn know factually how many people were comped for that event if he has nothing to do with that event and he's not the promoter of that event? He would have no information. Now, he's promoted events before. Would he have an idea based upon his events on how many people he comps compared to how he believes or what he thinks the standard is or the general rule for comping tickets are at events? Possibly. But again, he doesn't have much experience promoting in the United States, and he doesn't know how the PBC operates in and out. He doesn't know the inner workings of the PBC. So how would he speculate that 7,181 tickets were comped at a fight that had a live attendance of 13,181? To suggest that is pure lunacy. Okay, it's pure lunacy to suggest that. So how is that helpful in making a fight with Deontay Wilder? It's not, because you're basically lying. You're slandering the guy. Okay, you're out and out spreading false rumors, and people are taking that and running with it. So you're doing yourself, and you're doing your fighter, and you're doing the potential event a disservice by saying stupidity like that. And then he's saying how bad the numbers were. And we already heard that the event peaked at 990,000. And the average viewership was 886,000. And then when you add in the streaming service that Showtime has, I guess from what was reported, it did 1.1 million total viewership for the Wilder Brazil fight. He's going on and saying how that's horrible. What's wrong with that? You had 1.1 million viewers who watched the fight. Okay? And what did the Canelo Jacobs fight do worldwide? What did it do? Something like 1.3 or something like that? 1.3 million worldwide, and only 600,000 viewed the fight in the United States. And everyone's going on and on about how great those numbers were. And Canelo Alvarez is supposedly a much bigger star than Deontay Wilder, but yet only 600,000 people in the United States saw that fight with Jacobs. And that was a much better fight in terms of significance. It was a much better fight on paper than Wilder's fight. Okay? And it wasn't going up against all of these sports that Wilder was going up against on the weekend, on Saturday, when he fought Brazil. All the college basketball tournaments and stuff that was going on, and the playoff games and what have you. Okay? And Showtime isn't exactly the greatest platform to show boxing on. It doesn't have the highest subscriber base as a Fox would. If they put this fight on Fox, in my opinion, which I think they should have done, it would have done a lot better. Would have been better. But Wilder, for whatever reason, chose to keep the fight on Showtime. That was his choice. But all in all, under the circumstances, 1.1 million total, and with the streaming app included into that, and the 990,000 people peaked at for a fight that only went one round, only went basically less than a minute and a half, for that to happen. Okay, who's to say if the fight went rounds? Obviously, I think we could speculate strongly that the viewership would have been higher, but it ended so quickly. Okay, Didn't have enough time to really get a true gauge of how popular or how much viewership the fight could have done. So those numbers are totally respectable. But again, let's compare them with Canelo's numbers. Let's compare them with Canelo's numbers, okay? 600,000 watched Canelo versus Jacobs, which on paper, as I said, not to beat a dead horse, was a much better fight on paper. So if Canelo is the face of boxing, he's the face of the zone, then why is he only doing 600,000 in the United States and people are cheering and they got their pom-poms out? And I'm not here to hate on that. I don't give a shit one way or another. But it's just a total hypocrisy, and it's just the out and out ridiculous statements being made by Eddie Hearn that I don't think are productive in making this fight with Deontay Wilder. I think it creates more of a blockage here. It creates more of a wall instead of building a bridge. I don't think it's helpful. I just don't think it's helpful in making this fight. So to sit there and lie about things, and again, Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting in the Madison Square Garden next week. Supposedly it's a sellout, 20,789 people. Supposedly 7,000 Brits are coming over. That's great. But are they going to release the DAZN numbers for that fight? And if the DAZN numbers are less than the Canelo numbers and they're less than the Wilder numbers, will that be deemed a success? All in all, will that be deemed a success? I want to know that. Are they going to compare Anthony Joshua's DAZN numbers to Deontay Wilder's Showtime numbers next week after the fight ends? Are we going to hear that in the days leading after that fight, how the viewership was? And if we don't hear anything about the numbers, then we already know that it won't be a success in terms of viewership, because we know DAZN has never released the numbers. They released the numbers for one event, and that was for the Canelo fight. And even those numbers were good, but were they really as great as everybody was saying? When you think about an app that supposedly has 4 million subscribers, okay, has this app really taken off in the United States? Canelo was used to doing, $1 million to $1.2 million, 2, 3, or 4 on pay-per-view. He's done $1 million a few times. He's done 1.2, 1.3 a couple times, right? So by fighting on this app, has it really helped Canelo increase his profile? Are as many people watching Canelo Alvarez fight on this app that were watching him on pay-per-view? And I'm going to tell you, no. Based upon his fight with Chavez Jr. and based upon the previous 2 Canelo fights, this fight was significantly lower in terms of viewership than those last 3 fights that had Canelo fight on pay-per-view. So in the grand scheme of things, was this a smart move for Canelo? It's guaranteed money, but is he leaving money on the table by not continuing to fight on pay-per-view? That's a question that we have to ask. Because again, think about $1 million, 1.2, 1.3 at $80 a pop. Okay. Is that generating more revenue for Canelo than fighting on an app where only 600,000 people who are paying anywhere from $10 to $20, and not all that revenue is going to him, it's going to other fighters who are fighting on the app? Is that basically financially smart for Golden Boy and Canelo to be fighting on an app instead of fighting on pay-per-view? Are they leaving money on the table? You have to ask yourself that. So if you want to talk about the business behind all this, which we sit there and say it's not important and the numbers are bullshit and we shouldn't care about all this shit, but you know what? It's being thrown in our face by the fighters, by the promoters, by everybody involved in the sport. They're talking about it. They're the ones that are putting it out there. They're the ones that are using it as an excuse for these fights not getting made. And we understand that at the end of the day, it's always going to be about money. So it's basically impossible, and it's so hard to avoid talking about the finances, because that is what's being pushed in our face time and time again when we ask these guys, why aren't these fights happening? It's always about the money. It always has been about the money. And more so now than ever before, fighters are coming out and actually telling us, if it, are you going to fight this guy? Well, if it makes good sense, if it makes good business sense, then yeah. So they're the ones that are telling us, they're the ones that are putting it out there that it's all about the money. So if they're telling us that, then that's what we have to go on. So it's always going to be about the money. And now the difference between now and before, the fighters aren't shy about telling us that. Okay. So at the end of the day, it's all about the bullshit now. It's all about the bullshit. It's all about basically both sides posturing to get the best deal for themselves. And it's nothing new in the sport of boxing. It's nothing new in the sport of boxing. So what can I say? Will this fight happen soon? I think it will. I think it will. So we're gonna sit there and try and take sides. We're all being played. We're all being played. We're all being played. So let's go look at some of the stuff in the chat, and let's see what the fans think about what's going on here. All right. Canelo Jacobs. Jason in the chat says Canelo Jacobs sold 15,000 with 5,000 comps. Again, anyone that says they know how many tickets were comped, you're full of shit. You have no way of knowing for sure how many tickets were comped. No one's going to sit there and tell you, a fan, how many tickets were comped, okay? So nobody knows for sure what was comped and what wasn't comped. So let's cut that right out right now. Unless you're actually working for the promotion, working with the promotion, and you have something to do with the sale of the tickets, you know nothing about what was comped and what was not comped. Anything someone tells you is just bullshit. Unless a promoter tells you, even if a promoter tells you, even he could be lying and exaggerating. Why would a promoter, not try to exaggerate the numbers? He's going to try to make the event look better than what it looked like. So we already know that. All right. You're comparing average numbers to total. You're comparing paid viewers for free viewing. How much are you getting paid? Again, it doesn't matter what I'm comparing. I'm taking figures that have been reported. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with I'm being paid. Again, it doesn't matter. Anything you say, anything I say, it's opinion based. The factual numbers, we do know that 13,181 people were in attendance for that fight. And to sit there and suggest that 7,000 of those tickets were given away, and if you believe that, then I don't know what to tell you. That is total ridiculous bullshit if you believe that. Okay? Team Batman Boxing says, I was there, and okay, so Wilder gave 7,000 comps also. You don't know that. You can't prove that to me. There's no way you can prove to me that 7,000 comps were given away. You just don't know. There's only one way you can figure that out. You could call the New York State Athletic Commission, which I'm going to do. I'm going to call the New York State Athletic Commission and ask them. I'm going to get the number because I did that for the for the Mayweather McGregor fight, and they actually told me how many tickets were comped. So I'm gonna call the commission and see if I can get information on how many tickets were actually comped, because now I'm curious. But I know 7,000 tickets weren't comped. That's ridiculous. No one's gonna do that. Okay, let's see what else. All right, Wilder, the free weekend preview king. Well, again, Georgie, that doesn't matter if people, that's 990,000 people. How many people watched Canelo fight Jacobs? 600,000. So are you laughing about that too? How many people watched Joshua fight Povetkin? How many people on DAZN in the United States are going to watch Joshua versus Ruiz? Is that going to do a million? So if 600,000 only watched Canelo fight Jacobs, do you really think that more people are going to watch Joshua fight Ruiz in the United States next week than watched Canelo fight Jacobs in the United States? So Joshua is going to do just as bad. He's going to do worse than the Wilder numbers, in my opinion. I'm speculating. So it is what it is. Views or money, LOL, 35 billion, who's really on top? Well, we'll find out if he's getting 35 million. I heard it was 32. Again, we don't know. You're going off of what someone's. Okay, I make 10 million a year. So just believe that then. I could tell you I make 10 million a year, and because I say it, you believe it then. So just because someone tells you how this guy's making 35 million, this guy's making 32 million, we'll know for sure now, because guess what? We'll know for sure because guess what? It'll be reported to the New York State Athletic Commission. But again, this is all straw man. This is all straw man because you can't prove to me that 7,000 tickets were comped. And you can't prove to me that Joshua Ruiz is going to have a higher viewership than Wilder Brazil did. Because again, Wilder Brazil outperformed Canelo, Jacobs for total viewership in the United States. That's a fact. Can anyone refute that? And can anyone refute the fact that on paper, Canelo is a much bigger star than Wilder, and Canelo versus Jacobs is a much better fight than Wilder versus Brazil? So I don't understand how you guys cannot see the comparison here and look at it like, what is the DAZN doing to show that fighting on that app is putting a fighter in front of more eyeballs than fighting on Showtime or Fox or ESPN? Proof's in the pudding. The proof's in the pudding. Okay. Also, the 6 million plus that went viral, Bruce Lee says. Okay. Wilder, the people's champ. Okay. Boxing, good for him. That's why DAZN is broke and 4.6 million in debt, says legendary boxer. Okay, who cares? Says, who cares? Says Team Batman Boxing. Brooklyn Child Boxing Talk says, will Eddie Hearn and DAZN release the numbers for next week's fight? No, they won't. Unless they're good. You'll know if they weren't released, Brooklyn Child Boxing Talk, that they weren't good. So again, he's going to throw stones at Wilder's numbers, Eddie Hearn, but will he release Joshua's number on DAZN? And then when he's asked about it, oh, well, it's up to DAZN to release it. Well, you're in the inner workings of the DAZN. You're in all the meetings. You're in all the production meetings. You're in a lot of the negotiation meetings. Eddie Hearn, you would know how many people watch that fight next week. Come Monday morning, you'll know. And if you don't tell us, then we know it didn't do well. Again, this isn't about A side, B side. Again, you're being manipulated. You're being manipulated, and you're a puppet because you're doing whatever you're doing what they want you to do. They're manipulating you, and I choose to not be manipulated anymore. I know the fight's going to happen, and I think it's going to end up being 50-50 because again, they really want the fight. Now they seem to be more desperate for the fight, the Joshua side, and the more time that goes on, the better the deals keep improving for Wilder. So at the end of the day, when this fight happens, it's going to be 50-50. Beebs, I bet a pie bet AJ will crush Wilder. You want to bet me? And here's the bet. If they don't release the DAZN numbers, then I automatically win. If they don't release the Joshua Ruiz numbers from DAZN, Georgie, then I automatically win the bet because if they don't release the numbers, you know that they weren't good. So yeah, I'll take that bet any day of the week. There's no way that Joshua Ruiz will do more numbers than Wilder Brazil did in terms of viewership when you compare fighting on Showtime compared to fighting on DAZN. All you have to look, again, you have to be smart. Let's use our brains here. Let's use empirical data. If Canelo, who's the biggest star in the sport by far, who's the face of DAZN, only had 600,000 people watch his fight with Danny Jacobs, you really think that Joshua versus Ruiz is going to have more than 600,000 viewers in the United States on DAZN next week? You really think that? You really think that? Again, you're lying again, Leighton Evans, because Wilder got 12 million for the fight. He didn't get 9.5. Okay, Joshua's getting 32 million. That's great. But again, answer my question. You're changing. So when you change the subject of an argument, that means you cannot refute my points. So you agree with me that Eddie Hearn lied about the numbers last week. You agree with me. Thank you for agreeing with me, because you're not refuting that. You can't prove that Eddie Hearn is true in his statements that 7,000 tickets were comped. So you agree with me. Thank you. And you already know that Joshua Ruiz is not going to do more under the zone than Wilder Brazil. So thank you. If you're not refuting that, then thank you. You're validating my arguments. That's great. And I know Wilder's not getting 32 million, but I don't know if Joshua is either. I'll find out when the purses are released to the commission, because in the UK the purses aren't released to the British Board of Boxing Control. You don't have to. Sky doesn't release pay-per-view numbers, and they don't release the purses to the public. So all you guys go off of what Eddie Hearn can tell you. Joshua made $1 billion for a fight, and you won't challenge it because you have no information to challenge it. So you're basically going off of word of mouth, where we have to actually go off of numbers, actual numbers. Anyone who thinks Wilder deserves a 50-50 split needs a method. Why? It doesn't matter what fighter. Like, who are we to determine what a fighter's worth? Why would you care if a fighter's getting 50-50? Pay-per-view is dead again. You're drinking the Kool-Aid again, Leighton Evelyn, because if pay-per-view is dead, then why have we had more pay-per-views this year than whenever before in recent years? We had Pacquiao Broner, we had Spence Garcia. We're gonna have Thurman Pacquiao. What else has been pay-per-view? We had Khan Crawford. So the year's not even half over, and we're already gonna have like 4 pay-per-views, and we're probably gonna have another pay-per-view. So we went from having 2 pay-per-views to like 5 or 6 pay-per-views a year. So how could again, you guys got to be smart. You're not like, you have to be really smart here. You have to really try to take your emotion out of it. Fight hard. You can do it. I believe in you. Fight hard and fight your emotion. Fight it. Be strong. Be tough. Toughen up and fight your emotional urges to believe something that's not true. Fight the cognitive dissonance. Fight the confirmation bias. You can do it. I believe in every single one of you out there. Fight it. And let's be smart. How could pay-per-view be dead if we're going to have about 6 or 7 pay-per-views this year? Where before we only had 2. Again, look at the empirical data, folks. Let's look at the empirical data here. Let's be smart. I believe in you guys. I believe in you guys. Let's fight the emotion. You can do it. 1.2 million pay-per-view does not give you 35 million purse. The ringside guy is so dumb. What does that mean? 1.2 million. Like, how do you know what does what? You don't know. You don't know. Canelo reportedly made 40 million for the Golovkin fight. That's what was reported. So how is so basically, you don't think people, like, you don't think the zone is taking the loss here? I mean, again, you have to be smart. Fight the emotion. Fight the emotion. Try so hard to fight your emotion. Forget about your fanboyism and then fight the emotion. You think that by paying Joshua 32 million next week and by paying Andrew Ruiz 7 million next week, which is a total of $39 million in purses, do you think that the event is actually making money? It's a loss leader. It's a loss leader. Okay? You don't think the zone lost money on Canelo's fight with Jacobs? It's not about what the pay-per-view buys generate, because a lot of these events are taking losses. Use your common sense. They're taking losses because it's a loss leader. They're taking losses in the hopes that down the line their subscriber base will increase and eventually they'll start making money in the long term. So they're designed to lose money up front. Question is, Will they have the ability to turn the corner, and will they have the ability to make money in 2 to 3 years down the road? That's a big question that only time will tell. That's it. Scant Rants, Hearn lying about Wilder because it's obvious he doesn't want to make the Joshua fight. No one sells one. That's not true. Again, you're lying. Leighton Evelyn, you're lying. Can you fight the emotion? Try. You're not even trying. I know you're stronger than that. Fight your emotion. Fight it. Fight your personal feelings. What did Canelo Golovkin do last year, the 2 fights? 1.3 and 1.1 million pay-per-view buys Canelo did last year in his 2 fights. It's a fact. It's a fact. So stop lying. Stop lying. Fighters do. Did Oscar give Floyd 50-50? Did Floyd give Canelo 50-50? Did Floyd give McGregor 50-50? No, he did not. No, he did not. He absolutely did not. But will Joshua and Wilder fight with a 50-50 split? Yes. I think they will. It's just going to happen that way. By waiting, the longer Wilder waits, the stronger his position becomes. Again, empirical data. Fight the emotion. Fight it. Use every ounce of strength in your body to fight the emotion. Do it. You can do it. You can do it. 12.5 was the starting point. Then it went to 15. Now it went to 40. So again, empirical data has shown us the longer that it takes to make this fight, the more they give Wilder. Oh, this fight will never be in the United States. Oh, this fight could be. Eddie Hearn changed his tune. Oh yeah, we may have to fight him in the United States. I guess so everything that was said a year ago is totally being changed around now a year later. So again, empirical data. By the time this fight does come off, it's very conceivable that Wilder could get 50-50 here. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm using empirical data. 12.5 to 15. 15 to 40. Okay? Next year, who knows what it'll be? Oh, the fight will never happen in the United States. Now it will happen in the United States. Oh, Joshua will never give him 50-50 split. Well, now Eddie Hearn's saying, well, if Joshua wants to give him 50-50, then yeah, if that's what it takes to make the fight, then we'll do it. So, again, AJ's the cash cow. Thank you, Brooklyn Chow Boxing Talk. I appreciate that. Constantly talking about money splits and constantly downgrading Wilder. You don't want to see the fight. Downgrading Wilder will not help AJ's chin. Again, that's what I'm saying. I'm not downing anybody. I agree with you 110%. I think both guys should be built up, and anyone that tries to tear Wilder down, you're only taking away from the event because you're weak and you can't fight the emotion. Now you're changing. He's not worth it though. Is he? Admit it. No, I won't admit that because it's not my play. If I think fighters are worth whatever they can negotiate. That's what it's about. It's not what you're worth. It's what you can negotiate. There's no such thing, in my opinion. There's no such thing, in my opinion, of overpaying a fighter. I would like to see all these guys make $1 billion. They're the ones that are getting punched in the head. They're the ones that are getting punched in the head. If Joshua could make $1 billion, I would be happy for him. I am American. That's correct. But I will always be for the fighter. I will always want the fighter to get more than the most he can possibly get, to get more and more. That's just that. I've always been like that. Of course they're stalling. They get the fights. If anyone in this chat, does anyone in this chat think that this fight will never happen? Honestly, do you guys really, are you that stupid to believe that this fight's not going to happen? Honestly, it's going to happen. And you're being manipulated by both sides because they want us to fight with each other because it only drums up more interest for the fight. Controversy sells. You guys are all playing into their little scheme, okay? The America versus UK thing. These are tricks These are true. I could see Wilder losing, but I could see AJ losing too. This is a tough. Anyone that thinks that either man is definitively a favorite in this fight, then you're lying to yourself. Pay-per-view pay-per-view been trashed this year so far. Well, that's an argument that could be made. We're not living in the past. This is the future. We've had 4 pay-per-views this year. By the end of the year, we'll probably have 6 or 7. That's again. Let's use empirical data. Let's use empirical data. Anyone could get injured. So could AJ. So now only Wilder could get injured, but AJ can't. Again, fight the emotion. Do it. Do it. No, why are we living in the past? It's 2009. Okay, so how could pay-per-view be dead if there's more pay-per-views this year than have ever been in the last 5 years? Because now Fox and ESPN are showing pay-per-views along with Showtime. So before you only had Showtime and HBO showing pay-per-views, and they were showing like one a year, possibly 2 a year. And now you have Fox, you have ESPN, and you have Showtime all showing pay-per-views. How is AJ waiting, you deluded? They're both doing the same thing. They're posturing. Guys, am I happy with pay-per-views? To be honest with you, there hasn't been a really good pay-per-view yet this year. Like the Broner-Pacquiao fight was uneventful. The Crawford Khan fight was uneventful. So far, the pay-per-views have not been great. Absolutely not. I can answer that question unbiasedly. Yeah, it's not up to us to decide what Wilder deserves. He'll get it. He'll get 50-50. Next year, Wilder will get 50-50. I guarantee it. It's a fact. I believe it. I shouldn't say it's a fact. It's my opinion. He gets 50-50. Thank you, Georgie, for timing that guy up. I think Wilder will get 50-50. So is he worth it? Yeah. You're worth whatever you can negotiate. Is anyone, if this fight happens, answer my question. Yeah, pay-per-view is being used as a way to keep PBC fighters happy. That's 100% true. Papoose, that's 100% true. If I'm a fighter, I would rather fight on pay-per-view than fight on DAZN because I could make more money on pay-per-view. I'm just being real. I'm just being real. I'm just being real. We're not boasting about paying more. Again, the reality of the situation is I'm going to ask a couple questions here, and I need people to answer me in the chat. 100% truthful. Well, you guys, if I ask you guys a question in the chat, will you guys answer the question 100% truthful? Now, you UK guys have to pay for Joshua on pay-per-view. So you guys willingly pay for pay-per-view over in the UK, and you have no problem with it. While we watch Joshua for $8, $9 a month, and you guys are paying $30 a month to watch Joshua. So are you guys happy paying? Yeah, well, I'll block that guy, Josh. You guys criticize us for being happy about paying pay-per-view, right? Are you guys happy paying for pay-per-view? Because you can't get DAZN. So you're criticizing us for having to pay for pay-per-view, but you guys have to pay for pay-per-view too. It's more than $20. Joshua fights are like 28 pounds over there. Joshua fights aren't $20. They're 28 pounds. Which is like 35 bucks America. You get 4 pay-per-views a year? All right. Are you happy paying? Do you pay for them? Do you guys pay for pay-per-views? Do you? Okay, now, again, do you pay for pay-per-views? So you only watch 2 pay-per-views. So there's only 2 pay-per-views a year in the UK. There's only 2. Okay, so you have no issue paying for Dillian White and Joshua on pay-per-view. Okay, so you pay for pay-per-views. So you have no problem paying for pay-per-views. Okay, So why are you criticizing us for paying for pay-per-views then, if you have no problem paying for pay-per-views? And I'll ask you this. If Joshua versus Wilder is on pay-per-view and they charged $80 for the fight, would you pay for it? And White Chisora was on pay-per-view too. That's right, Jason. Would you guys pay $80 for Joshua versus Wilder? Yes or no? If you had to pay $80 for Joshua versus Wilder, would you pay? Answer the question. So pay-per-view is worth it to you guys. Okay. But if you had to, answer the question. And if you don't answer it, then I think that you're copping out here. Would you guys pay $80 to see Joshua versus Wilder? And answer the question honestly. Georgia says, yes, they will. They're admitting it. Thank you. So you guys are a bunch of fucking hypocrites. Dr. Monfonga says, I'd pay $100 easy for Wilder Joshua. Loma King says, yes. Okay. So why are you guys criticizing us for paying for pay-per-views? Papoose, you honestly would not pay for the fight. So you would not watch the fight then. You would not watch the fight. All right. I question that. I think that you guys would watch the fight. That's my opinion. But if you say you wouldn't, I'll have to take your word for it. Hell yeah, I would pay $125. Yeah. I don't have the option of paying $10 to see certain fights. I have the zone. It's not a question what will your market allow. If you moved to the United States tomorrow and you lived here and you had no alternative but to pay $80 for the fight, or you couldn't watch the fight, would you pay for it? Okay? That's the question I'm asking. I don't have a choice. There's no question. How do I have a choice? Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, Deontay Wilder, they don't fight on DAZN. So if I want to watch them fight and their fights are on pay-per-view, I don't have a choice. That's fucking, again, that's a bullshit. That's a fucking bullshit, incorrect statement. I don't have a choice. And the question is, if you didn't have a choice, what would you do? And be honest about it. Wilder does not fight on DAZN. How do I have a choice? I can't pay less. I cannot pay less. If I want to see Wilder fight, if I want to see Tyson Fury fight now in the big fight, if I want to see Terrence Crawford fight in the big fight, if I want to see Errol Spence fight in the big fight, hell, Danny Garcia versus Mikey Garcia is on pay-per-view. If I want to see these fights, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. How do I have a choice? If I choose to only watch DAZN fights, then I can't watch Mikey Garcia fight. I can't watch Terrence Crawford fight. I can't watch Deontay Wilder fight. I can't watch Manny. How is that a lie? How am I going to watch them fight? How? It's not a lie. Explain to me how that's a lie. That's not a lie. I can't watch them fight unless I pay for them if they're not on Showtime or Fox. I have no choice. So that's the thing. A pound is worth more than $1. That's correct. So I have no choice. Don't tell me I have a choice when I don't. Because those fighters do not fight on DAZN. I have a choice to not watch them. Yes, I do have a choice to not watch them. But if I want to watch them, I have to watch them on the platforms that they're fighting on. And the Sky, you guys are paying £50 for a Sky subscription where Showtime only costs $10. So you guys are paying more for your monthly cable subscriptions than we are for ours. So it evens itself out. It evens itself out. So I don't understand what the argument is. Showtime's only $10 a month for 6 channels. That's right. How much is Sky? I'm hearing good things about the ticket sales for the Joshua Reese fight. I'm hearing good things. Given Quality says he has every Sky channel. Good for you, man. I used to have the Sky channels on my Cody box, and my Cody box stopped working. So nothing I can do about that. Nothing I can do about that. Yeah. Not a question about what I like and what I don't like. It's what my choices are. Sky for everything is $160 a month. Okay. Well, Showtime is only $10 a month. So you're paying $160 for one channel. We're only paying 10. Oh, thanks. Well, you can email me. My email address is on the YouTube channel, the one I use for here. So, I mean, I'm looking forward, but you get 900 channels. 900 channels, I don't believe so. No. But I will tell you, you guys, channel for channel, the cost channel for channel for you guys is more than us. Our channels and our cable is a lot cheaper than yours. To be honest with you. So it kind of it's somewhat evens itself out, to be honest. Guys, make sure you check out MegaFit Meals and make sure you buy the Ringside Reporter t-shirt. Links are in the description box, man. Sky channels, you get 900 channels. Sky comes with a landline phone, your internet, Wi-Fi, and 900 channels. That's about 120. Oh, well, then that's a great deal. Then that's a great deal if that's the case. I pay about 100 and I pay 100 and think $39 for my cable package and my internet package. It's 139. I have the fastest internet, so. What do I think about Brazzers beef? No comment. Which is about $160. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is true. But again, you're trying to compare two different economies. I mean, honestly, you're trying to compare two different economies. You're talking about the richest economy in the world versus, with all due respect, the fifth or sixth richest economy in the world. We have 330 million people here. You guys have 65 million people there. You can't really compare the two economies. I mean, you guys live in this country that's about the size of Texas. You know? So it's just crazy. You can't. It's crazy. You guys try to compare the two. Bruce Lee says, honestly, I get about 500 channels in the USA with cable, but only watch 10. All channels are not good channels. That's correct too. Wilder fight was half empty. They blocked out sections. Well, how could you say it's half empty? Again, we have to fight the emotion. Fight it as hard as you can. Be strong. I know you can do it. Clear your mind and let's talk with rational sense. If 13,181 people were there and the facility holds 16,000, how logically can you say it was half empty? It wasn't half empty. It wasn't half empty. It just wasn't. So let's tell the truth. UK is Great Britain is the third richest economy, considering. Well, it's we're not talking about size. We're talking about overall. It's not the third overall. Comcast bought out Sky. Yeah, exactly. I don't understand. Like, if the numbers were released at 13,181, how can we say that it was empty? I just don't get it. Barclays holds 16,000 for boxing. Again, it's out there. Go on the website. They hold 16,000 for boxing. They don't hold 19,000 for boxing. That is a false statement. Stop being lazy. You guys are lazy. All you have to do you guys even use Google? Do you use the internet? Like, everything is out there. You're being lazy. It holds 16,000. All you have to do is Google it. Call them up. They'll tell you they hold 16,000 for boxing. So 2,800 people weren't there. So it is what it is. But I just don't think it's productive. I don't think it bridges the gap here in the negotiations for Eddie Hearn to constantly try to diminish Deontay Wilder. You're supposed to build the guy up. You're supposed to build the guy up because it only makes the event as a whole bigger. So listen to this one. This is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life. 13,181 is the total attendance. Not all are sitting. Some are security and staff and logistics. No, they don't count security and staff. Security and staff don't have to use tickets to enter. Again, stop with this. Stop. Fight the emotion. Fight the emotion. Fight the bias. Fight the emotion. Be objective. So now people think that when they do the total attendance, they're talking about staff. They're talking about people that work there and it's security. Stop. Stop. People who were at the fight said the arena was packed. Visually, the fight was packed. But people are saying Wilder don't sell. I don't know. A lot of people that were there said the place was pumping. It was a good event. I don't know. People called into the show that were actually at the event, and they said it was a live event. Bums from the street. LOL, says Georgie. I mean, now you're insulting the city, man. You're saying that all people that you're insulting boxing fans, and you're insulting the city of New York, basically. You're insulting Brooklyn. People that live in Brooklyn, you're insulting them. Saying they're all bums. That's you're making a blanket stereotypical statement. That's not cool. That's not cool. I don't agree with that. But again, I mean, we already know objective. Don't take sides. Both AJ and Deontay Wilder clowns milking their fanboys may pass. That's what I said. We're doing what they want us to do, or you guys are doing what they want you to do. They want this divide. They want to see the back and forth between the fans because it only makes the fight bigger. And you guys are biting and you're falling for it hook, line, and sinker. That's what you're doing. Hey, listen, if AJ sells out Madison Square Garden next week, props to him. Georgie says only Black Panthers went to see them. That's tough, Georgie. Now you're putting yourself out there, Georgie. I don't know if I can defend you now. You're gonna time yourself out, okay? I'm not saying that Deontay Wilder outsells Anthony Joshua. That's not what I said. What I'm trying to tell you is more than 6,000 people were at were at the Wilder Brazil fight last week. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And you're not going to tell me Eddie Hearn was lying and saying, "Oh, only 8,000 people were in attendance," when the announced attendance was 13,181. And then he's trying to say that 7,000 people were comped. That's not the argument. That's not the argument. Eddie Hearn lied, and you guys are believing his lie. Would Wilder be able to charge with no, he wouldn't. But again, how does that refute the argument that Eddie Hearn lied about the attendance last week? You have to admit that Eddie Hearn lied about the attendance last week. Can you admit that? Yeah, I want Hearn to say good things about Wilder. Exactly. I do. Why would you downplay somebody if you're fighting him? It only diminishes you. To diminish your opponent, it only diminishes you. So why would you fight somebody who's not worthy of you fighting them then? Again, you're falling for it. You're very naive. You're weak-minded. You're being manipulated. You're being manipulated, and you're accepting it. That doesn't show you he's not worth 50-50. You're not listening to what I said earlier. It's not about the two sides. It's about the sum. It's not about the parts. It's about the sum. I already went over this several times. It's not about what they did with other people. It's about what they do together. It's what they do together, not what they did with other people. That's what you need to focus on. Stop focusing on and using straw man arguments and red herrings. When you put the two together, it's a huge event. Doesn't matter what Wilder does. It matters what Wilder and AJ do together. By Hearn saying, Paul, why does Hearn care how would it hurt Hearn if by giving Wilder 50-50? The fight can't lose money. Even with 50-50, both guys will be earning more than they've ever earned before in their careers. So what's the difference? How is it going to hurt Joshua if he gives Wilder 50-50? He gave Klitschko 50-50. How does it hurt? Who cares? 16,000 didn't pay. What is that? What do you mean they didn't pay? Pacquiao did not get 50-50 versus Floyd because he didn't. But if you go back and look at the terms of that, after a certain amount, Pacquiao, it was like 51-49 after a certain amount. So AJ wasn't a big star before Vlad. So he had to get 50-50. The lies are that only 6,000 people were at the fight last week when there was a reported live attendance of 13,181. And okay, so do you think everyone that's at the Joshua fight next week is going to pay? You don't think that fighter that people get comped at fights? You think how many press are going to be there? You think they're going to be paying for a ticket? You think the fighters' families are going to be paying for tickets? You think Eddie Hearn's paying for a ticket? You think Eddie Hearn's friends are paying for tickets? Like, people get comped at fights all the time. You think everyone that's going to be at that event next week? That's not the argument. The argument is Eddie Hearn lied about the attendance. So you believe only 6,000 people were at that fight last week? Does anyone believe only 6,000 people were at that fight last week? That's not correct. So you only believe 6,000 people were there, Georgie? When they so the commission and the people at Barclays are lying that 13,181 people are there? So you believe that? How can you believe that if it's not true? You only think 16,000. It's not. PBC didn't release the numbers. PBC didn't release the numbers. I don't think you believe that. But you believe Eddie Hearn? Eddie Hearn doesn't lie? If I call up the commission, we do a three-way, and I call up the commission and ask the commission how many people were at the Barclays, and they tell you 13,000, will you believe it? I just don't get it. 13,000 didn't pay. Again, let's fight the emotion, and let's use the logic again. I can't believe I have to keep repeating this. Why do I keep repeating this? Nobody pays. The total attendance, never the total attendance at an event, all of the people are paying customers. There's comps at every event. How does Eddie Hearn know that only 6,000 tickets were sold? So you're telling me they comped 7,000 people. What are you talking about? They sold 6,000. He didn't flat out say it sold 6. What does that mean? If you said it sold 6,000 tickets, that means you said it. That means you're saying they sold 6,000 tickets. What are you talking about? Doesn't matter. He's going to get 50-50. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're going to give him 50-50. You believe 6,000? What? So what proof do you have that the 6,000 people were comps? Because Eddie said it? There's no way 7,000 people were comped. Cut it out. So how many people are going to be comped at AJ's fight next week? You think all 19,000 fans are going to be paid customers? You don't think that the press is getting in for free? You don't think that AJ's family is getting in for free? You don't think Eddie Hearn's family is getting in for free? You don't think members of the team of AJ and members of Team Ruiz are getting free tickets? None of those guys are getting free tickets? Honestly. It happens all the time in the sport of boxing. People get comped. All promoters lie. That's correct. That's correct. This whole thing about people getting comped, it's nothing new. Everybody gets comped at events. You guys honestly think that you go to an event and people aren't comped there? You think 100% of the attendance is paying? Is a paying attendance? No way. So PPC are liars, but like Brandon White says, PPC are liars, but Top Rank, ESPN, and DAZN are truth tellers. Guys are just like very naive. And what proof do you have that 6,000 people were comped? Explain to it. How can you prove six? Look, think of what you're saying. 6,000 people were comped. Eddie said 7,000 people were comped, but you're saying 6,000 people were comped. How can you prove that? What proof do you have of that? How can you prove it? How can you prove that? Can't prove that. I got to call the commission. New York State Athletic Commission. I'm gonna see if I can call the commission right now. Hold on for 1 second. I'll write down the number. I'm gonna call up the New York State Athletic Commission. I'm gonna see. how many people were actually comped. I'm gonna see if I can get it. I'm gonna call them right now. I'm gonna see if I can get the information. I'll put them on speaker. Let me see if they tell. I wonder if they're open now because it's a holiday. Let's see. It's Memorial Day here in the United States.
Amateur combat sports, professional kickboxing, and Muay Thai, please press 4. For the director of boxing and inquiries regarding medical, please press 5. For inquiries regarding MMA, please press 6. For the counsel's office, please press 7. For the executive director, please press 8.
I'm gonna call.
Wait while I transfer your call.
See if I can get information here.
Matthew, the wag wheel. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up.
I'm gonna call and see if I can get a. I want to get in contact with somebody. I'm gonna call the operator.
I do not recognize that as a valid entry. Thank you for contact. Wait while I transfer your call. Sorry. The New York State Athletic Commission is not available.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and call them. I'm gonna try and call them tomorrow, and I'm gonna ask them. I'm gonna ask them exactly how many people were comped, because when I called up for Mayweather McGregor, they actually gave me the numbers and they told me how many people were comped. So I'm gonna call the commission. Yeah, it's a holiday because it's Memorial Day today. I forgot about that. But I'll get to the bottom of it. But Eddie Hearn has no way of proving that 7,000 people were comped last week. He just doesn't. But this is all a scam. They're trying to get us to fight with each other, and they're trying to build the fight. Both sides are trying to build the fight. The fight's going to happen next year, and it's going to be huge. I just think that this whole back and forth and all this bullshit is just part of the plan. They did this. They did the same thing with Mayweather Pacquiao. They had the Mayweather and Pacquiao fans fight with each other, and all it did was make the event bigger. Yeah, I'm gonna call him tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna call them tomorrow. Yeah. So let's talk about Joshua Ruiz real quick. How many rounds does this fight go next week, guys? I'm saying this fight goes 6 rounds next week. I think Joshua stops him in 6. What do you guys think? You guys are buying into the Jimmy Lennon or Wayne. I'm not even gonna say it. Forget it. AJ may stop Ruiz to the body. Yeah, this fight should end pretty quickly. I'm gonna say 6. I hope I'm wrong though. AJ stops him in 7. Jimmy Lennon Jr. says 9 rounds. Oh, so what I'm going to be doing next week is I want you guys to make sure you tune into this. I think Ruiz is much better than Brazil. Yes, I think Ruiz is better than Miller. I think this. I think under the circumstances, this is a great opponent for Joshua. I have no problem with this fight next week, given the circumstances. I really don't. Tone says late stoppage or points for AJ. Okay. Oh, so what I was saying, guys, is Ruiz doesn't have Povetkin's footwork or slickness. I don't know about that. I think he has quicker hands than Povetkin. I think he's a more fluid combination puncher and probably a better inside fighter than Povetkin. It's my opinion, but again, that's just my opinion. AJ won't be aggressive like Wilder. He will take his time and break him down. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Definitely we'll see. It's a good question. We'll see. We will definitely see. Oh, so like I was saying, I'm going to be doing a live commentary of the fight next week. Obviously, I'm not going to be showing live footage, but Eric and I are going to be doing a live commentary of the fight next week with AJ and Ruiz, giving our commentary, giving our opinion of the fight. So, guys, make sure you tune into that because it should be fun. It should be interesting. I think it'll be a good. We'll have a good time. I think it'll be a good event, man. So, guys, make sure you tune into that. Like I said, once again, make sure you check out megafitmeals.com. Click the link in the description box. Meal delivery service, home cooked, fresh, nutritious meals. Make sure you check them out, and make sure you buy a Ringside Reporter T-shirt. Help us out, man. Help us out. Support the channel. Give us a like. Buy a T-shirt. Check out the MegaFit Meals and help us out, man. And make sure you check us out next Saturday because we are going to be doing a live commentary of that fight with no live footage. So just make sure you check us out there. And I think that's about it, guys. Kind of belabored the point here. Not much more to say about the topic, but until next time, Beeb is out. Happy Memorial Day. Have a great day, guys. And take it easy. I'll talk to you all soon.